Hi, and welcome back to Denny Talks About College. Let's talk about some college. Today's topic is one steeped in current events, one that perhaps is on your mind if you are a new or returning student to college this fall. Should COVID change your college plans? How should COVID affect your college plans? Should it change them in any way? Let's go ahead and discuss that a little bit. My answer, should COVID change your college plans? My answer might seem a little bit murky as we go, but if I had to sum it up in 2 words, I would say not necessarily. So let me explain a little bit more about what I mean. So we got to look, I think, before we can look ahead, I think we got to look at present time right now for how COVID is affecting things at colleges. So what effect is it having already? Interestingly, the college, or rather the Chronicle of Higher Education, which is a great publication, by the way, for those of you who are interested in reading about any and all things higher education, the Chronicle of Higher Education is wonderful. I really like it. But they recently, well, when I say recently, on 325, they ran an article that made some kind of interesting assertions, including that 1 in 6 high school seniors who planned on going to college this fall may change their plans. You know, that's 1 in 6. They suggested that 3 out of 5 students who are still college bound are worried about getting into their first choice school for some reason. Some of the reasons include cost and health concerns. With the massive unemployment right now, a lot of people are worried about, hey, can I even afford college, any college, let alone maybe my first choice school, particularly if it's an expensive one. But also health concerns, particularly if someone's college was either in a COVID hotspot or just in a major metropolitan area. That's causing some people to rethink maybe going to a school in one of those locations. So another reason it was mentioned was a lack of campus tours, because many campus tours were either made virtual or just completely canceled back in about March or so, when everything kind of started to go away due to COVID. So what this means is that many students are exploring options that are closer to home, like we said, particularly if the first choice college maybe was in a larger area. So an interesting thought on that, USA Today ran an article, and by the way, like in my previous videos, all the articles I'm mentioning, I'm going to give you the links in the description, so if you want to do a little digging yourself, definitely feel free to do that. The USA Today article, one of the students they interviewed actually made a really good suggestion, or really good thought. He said, why go live in a major city if I'm quarantined to my dorm room the entire time? Makes sense. Some other things that students might be looking at are going to be gap years and possibly attending part-time. The 1 in 6 who are thinking about maybe changing their college plans, those are just a few of the things that they're looking at. Something Brian O'Connell pointed out in an article on savingforcollege.com is that if financial concerns are something that are plaguing you at the moment, what you can do is possibly look into the option of getting additional financial aid, because due to perhaps either cut hours, loss of employment, or anything like that, people's financial aid statuses may have changed rather rapidly. So if paying for college is a concern, it really can't hurt to at least just examine where you stand as far as that goes. I mean, who knows, there might be more money out there that you qualify for, and definitely you want to check into that. So some other things to think about are how could, since we've kind of talked about up to this point, how could COVID affect college in the fall? Sean Hubler wrote an article in the New York Times. Now this is a much more recent article, published May the 19th, which is in and of itself probably significant just because of how rapidly the situation is evolving. But in his article, Sean suggests that some colleges are looking at things such as no fall break, starting their Christmas break or their holiday break at the end of Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving, versus right before Christmas. Some of the reasons they're looking at doing this is because a lot of people think there's potentially between late fall and winter going to be a second wave of COVID. So many schools are either for sure doing this, or at least kicking around the idea of no fall break, a longer Christmas break, or we should say holiday break in this case, since it might go Thanksgiving to New Year, or something along those lines. Other schools are looking at a number of options, including, and I've got a nice little list here for you, including half-full classrooms, more online classes, mask requirements, attempts at social distancing, and even on my notes here, I have that in stars because, I mean, no disrespect to college students. I work on a college campus. Students like to congregate, keeping students at social distancing. I'm not convinced it's going to work that well. Prove me wrong if you want. And like I said, I mean nothing against students. I just know colleges, there's just between frisbee games, hanging out in a hammock, there's just always something going on. I don't know, unless you have people going around with little air horns, blowing them every time there's a violation, or drones monitoring for compliance. And should drones monitor students? That'd be a fun video, but I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole right now. Unless you do something like that, the idea of trying to keep students social distance, it might work. I'm just not real convinced it's going to be successful. And again, no disrespect to students. It's just there's too many opportunities to not social distance on a college campus. But anyway, back to the list: attempts at social distancing, substantial disinfecting measures, plexiglass protection, sometimes even requiring or giving teachers the option to teach remotely. And why have a class come to a classroom if a teacher's not going to be there? Some faculty might be older or in a higher risk population, for instance, and maybe they don't feel comfortable being on campus. So some schools are looking at things like that. A separate article in the New York Times also mentioned perhaps even quarantine dorms and fever checks for students on an ongoing regular basis. A quote that I think embodies things very well at the moment. Some in our work groups say start later in September, give the epidemic a month to die down, he said. Another group says start earlier because it will come back in the winter, or people will get the flu and think they have corona. Everyone is making decisions with incomplete information. And this quote comes from Danielle Strupa, who's president of Chapman University, and that's in Orange County, California. And I just want to throw that in there because I feel like that just embodies the whole situation very well. And not to put anyone down, or not to try to be critical. That's not the point, ever going to be the point of my videos, but just kind of underscoring the fact that it's just a rapidly evolving situation. We're doing the best, both where I work and I think colleges at large. We're doing the best with limited and ever-changing information, and it's definitely something that you want to pay attention to. So if you're a new student or a returning student, or you're wanting to be a new student, what does all this mean for you? I mean, what does this even mean? First off, lots of precautions are being taken by colleges. So just know, I mean, where I work, and I think, again, colleges everywhere, we take it seriously. We want our students to be safe. It's on our minds. So just know that we do care about that. It is a rapidly evolving, unpredictable, unknown situation. There's really nothing I can think of to even compare this to. So, I could say we're doing our best, but if someone at whatever college you're affiliated with, it maybe makes a call that's not the greatest, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback these things. Just remember, it's kind of uncharted waters, and I would say most are probably doing their best. Some states, and it's interesting too, because from what I read too, some states apparently are reopening with no spikes. Some states are staying more locked down and continue to have cases rise. So even on a national level, we read the news, and I keep up with it somewhat. I mean, as much as I can. I think you get sucked into that a little bit too much, and that's probably not good. But it looks like it's just what's this virus? What's this thing going to do next? So even on the state level, the national level, if it confuses us, yeah, it's going to confuse colleges. So it's like I said, it's just really just a lot of unknowns on this. So instead of having COVID totally derail your college plans, some things you may want to look at are going to include online classes, which online classes are not for everyone. They bring a certain set of challenges with them, but if safety is one of your top concerns, they could be worth looking at. Alternate financial aid options, we already discussed that a little bit. Choosing a different school if the location is worrisome to you. One of the articles I was reading, there was a student who decided not to go to school in New York City, and all things considered at the current time, that was likely a wise choice. It's interesting to note too, if you're accepted somewhere and you're thinking, oh, it's too late to make a change, well, it really might not be, because some acceptance deadlines are being moved back. Some might be June 1st or later, or depending upon the school, later than they've ever been, just because they know that as this thing evolves in the summer, people may really almost up until school starts could be making last minute decisions on that. So don't assume things are necessarily locked down, or don't assume that, well, I'm stuck because I want to go to the school in a big city. Admission deadlines have passed. What am I going to do? Well, you look around at your options, you might just be really surprised at what's out there. Gap years are also an option, and another video I put up, I discussed gap years at length, and if you want to know about gap years, definitely check that out. I'm not sold on the fact that COVID alone or COVID fear is necessarily a good reason to do a gap year just in and of itself. I mean, if you feel strongly about it, if you're perhaps in a high-risk population, maybe it would make a little bit more sense for you. For the average student, I'm not convinced it's the best way to go, but ultimately it's a decision that you have to make. You have to do what you're most comfortable with. Sitting out for a semester or for a year seems like the best option. That I wish you the best with it. And I think some of these other options that we've talked about could perhaps keep you on track a little bit more, while also preserving your safety, or making as much of an attempt as humanly possible to preserve your safety. So basically, you just have to look at the info you have and make the best decision possible at that time, which honestly, I think a student asked me one time, what is adulting? And I said, well, like I would know. But that definition right there is pretty good for adulting. Look at the information you have, make the best decision possible. It's pretty close. It's interesting to note too that with this being such a rapidly changing situation, this video may not age well. I think sometimes the cool kids say that about tweets, like, oh, this tweet didn't age well. So we'll see how well this video ages. Today is May 21st, I believe. So I'm recording this on May 21st. So it'll be interesting in June and July to see how much of everything I've just told you holds true. If this video ages particularly badly, I might take it down and maybe issue an update. Like I said, at this time, I feel like you just got to do what's right for you as far as COVID goes. Definitely think about it. I'm hesitant to say let it totally change your plans, but definitely proceed with caution as well. And at the end of the day, like I said, just do what you feel most comfortable with. So hopefully this has been beneficial. As always, reach out anytime you have questions. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider sharing it. Please subscribe to my channel, and please come back soon. Look for some more great content and get to hear me talk more about college. Thanks again.